Aloha mai, this is Module 12B, Loko I'a. In today's lecture, we will go over the origin of Loko I'a in Hawaii, or Hawaiian fish ponds, the types of Loko I'a, the role of fresh water in the system, and we'll watch a few videos where the Kia'i Loko themselves, the fish pond caretakers, describe the importance of these systems. As a reminder, all quizzes for Module 12 will be due on Wednesday at 8 a.m. We will start today's lecture watching this short video that highlights the voices of many Kia'i Loko from Hui Mālama Loko I'a. Hui Mālama Loko I'a is a growing consortium of Kia'i Loko and stewardship organizations from Loko I'a across Hawaii. Their mission is to empower a network of Kia'i Loko whose kuleana or responsibility is to reactivate, restore, and cultivate Loko I'a. So using this link here, please take a look at this video. When we think about the origins of Loko I'a in Hawaii, we start first with Mo'olelo, or the stories of our people. Ku'ula built the first Loko I'a on the island of Maui. He was a levai'a or fisherman who had a rare skill. His skill is described as having the ability to direct and control fish. He is celebrated as both an akua, god of fishing, and a kanaka, person who had a deep knowledge of fish behavior in coastal ecosystems. Another traditional Hawaiian belief is that fish ponds were built by menehune, a legendary race of small people who worked at night. Although there has been no documentation of traditional fish pond construction methods, the work is clearly labor intensive, and large ponds must have taken a long time to construct. The only tools known to have been used were ropes, dragging sleds, and o'o, digging sticks. It is traditionally accepted that rocks for the construction were transported down from the mountains along a human or menehune chain, sometimes miles long. Loko I'a is a Hawaiian invention. Hawaii is the only known place in Oceania where the people practice a pure form of fish pond aquaculture. The exact date of the first Loko I'a is unknown. However, the oldest Loko I'a has been radiocarbon dated to about 1400 years. An inventory in the early 1900s found 360 Loko I'a in the islands and identified 99 active ponds with an estimated annual production of about 680,000 pounds. It is believed pre-Captain Cook that there was an annual yield of in Hawaiian fish ponds of about 2 million pounds. Loko I'a were not used to provide food for everyone. Rather, they provided a reliable and convenient supply of fish for ruling ali'i or chiefs in the royal court. The fish pond was a proud symbol of a rich ahupua'a, or land division. Next, I encourage you all to watch this video to learn how Loko I'a were created. It is important to note that coastal fish ponds built with fresh water from streams and springs met the ocean to capture brackish water and simulate beneficial eutrophication. They also captured juvenile fish such as ama or mullet and ava milkfish, which thrive in estuaries where they feed on plankton. Please use the link below to watch this video. As you can see here in this image, there are 6 main types of Loko I'a. In the next slides, we will discuss the main characteristics of each. Loko Kuapa are the types of Loko I'a that I think most people imagine or that come to mind when they think of a fish pond, a Hawaiian fish pond. Loko Kuapa were strictly coastal fish ponds whose characteristic feature was a kuapa or a seawall of lava or coral rubble. They were usually built over a reef flat with the wall extending out from 2 points on the coast in an enclosed semicircle. These ponds usually had one or two alwai channels that were used mainly for water flushing or inflow, depending on the rising and ebbing of the tides, but were also used during harvesting and stocking. Local kuapa, because they were enclosed reef flats, had all the marine aquatic sea life that would be expected to be found on a reef flat. For example, they had fish such as kala, palani, and manini, and some less common fish such as kahala, kumu, moano, vekeula, uhi, etc. Here in this image, you'll see um, the Koloko fish pond. The seawall is about 30 to 40 feet wide and 6.5 feet high, stretching over 250 yards, and is the largest retaining fish pond wall in Hawaii. This was a favorite loko ia of Kamehameha I. Here is Heia Fish Pond, loko ia o Heia, and this is located on the windward side of Oahu. This kuapa is about 7,000 feet long and ranges from 3 to 4 feet in width. Kuapa were constructed from many materials, as I mentioned before, and most importantly, as pertaining to this class, lava rocks. They also contain coralline blocks and rubble of rock, sand, and soil. Small rocks and coral fragments filled the interior cracks. Coralline algae, marine plants were important in the construction of coral reefs, and they were sometimes relied upon to provide a natural form of cement. The seawall was permeable to water, allowing aeration and water circulation while deflecting oncoming wave energy. The outer and inner seawalls differed. The outer wall had a greater angle to allow some of the deflected current to clean or scour the outer rim of the fish pond. The outer kuapa was often 5 feet wide and 3 to 5 feet deep. And just to emphasize how massive some kuapa could be, at Koloko, as we saw earlier, the seawall could be 35 to 40 feet wide at its base and over 6 feet high. Shown here, the makaha, or sluice gate, was the most distinctive and unique feature of Hawaiian fish ponds. They were stationary without any moving parts. The makaha was made of wood, typically tree branches about half an inch in diameter and lashed vertically, half an inch apart to 2 or 3 pieces of larger wood arranged horizontally in a grid-like manner. The great structure allowed water circulation and flushing and the influx of fingerlings, small fish, to be retained within the loko ia. Also it allowed for the influx of fingerlings or small fish, yet retained fish too large to pass through the grid. There was no traditional location for the makaha, but they were positioned to maximize the flow of current throughout the entire fish pond. Another important feature is the alwai. The alwai or sluices were channels of water that connected the fish pond with the sea. In a local kuapa, they were called alwai o ka makaha, which means gates of the channel. And in a local pu'uane, which we'll learn about later, they were called alwai kai or sea gate. Both of these alwai systems serve to allow water flow recruitment of juvenile fish from the outside, and most importantly, harvesting. The innovations of the makaha and alwai probably allowed Hawaiians to progress from fish traps and enclosed ponds to artificial estuaries, or fish ponds, which could be better controlled and managed. Next, we will learn about loko vai. Loko vai are located inland and mostly of freshwater origin. A loko vai was typically made from a natural depression, lake, or pool whose water was mainly diverted from streams, natural groundwater springs, or percolation from an aquifer. Various types of o'opu, a type of freshwater fish, were commonly found in these ponds. Shown here in this image, Alekoko is fed by the Huli'ia River on Kauai. It was built nearly 1,000 years ago. Alekoko is minutes from the Hui and has been on the National Register of Historic Places since 1973. Mo'olelo tell us that the Menehune built this entire fish pond in one night. It is believed that they lined themselves up from the village of Makaveli for 25 miles, passing stones hand to hand to build the pond. Though Menehune legends abound, some say the word Menehune is derived from the Tahitian word manahune, meaning commoner or small in social standing, not in physical size. The next loko i'a we're going to learn about is loko i'a kalo. These are upland lo'i kalo or taro patches modified to include freshwater aquaculture. Lo'i themselves are agricultural innovations that fundamentally rely on environmental modifications to use stream and or spring water, and the most important feature of this system is that the water is always returned to its source or hydrological system, and they eventually flow to the ocean. Fish are added in with kalo and raised in flooded terraces. Loko pu'u'one contain mostly brackish water with inputs from both freshwater and saltwater sources. Freshwater from streams, artesian springs, and percolation from adjacent aquifers was mixed with seawater that entered through channels during incoming tides. The most characteristic feature of this type of fish pond was a sandbar, coastal reef structure, or two close edges of land masses that could be connected to enclose a body of water. Typically, fish in these systems had to be able to handle fluctuations of salinity. These fish included ama, awa, aholehole, papio, or ulua, o'ionehu, awa, aua, and o'opu. This image here is Aimakapa. It is a fish pond separated from the ocean by a large sandbar. This loko i'a is believed to have provided food for Ali'i for over 600 years and was claimed by the Ali'i Kamehameha in the late 1800s, or in the 1800s. Loko umeiki are fish traps similar to other fish traps found in Oceania, rather than a pond. Although similar to loko kuapa, umeiki, literally meaning to pull tight, have semi-circular walls that were partially or wholly submerged at high tide to give the fish entry. Low tide, the water levels would subside and it would prevent fish from escaping. In this image, you see Aiopio, which is a fish trap that was constructed by carving out a passage through a natural rock enclosure. The last loko i'a types that we will discuss today are loko kaheka and hapunapuna. Kaheka or hapunapuna fish ponds were tide pools or pools that were fed by springs. They attract fish by either their freshwater outflow or the tides and waves would wash fish into them, and they would be temporarily trapped for people to gather. These are natural pools for holding fish but are not set up as self-sustaining systems like the other loko i'a that we discussed previously. Shown in this image, the Papakakai fish ponds are a group of unnamed fish ponds at Honuaula on Maui's rugged south shore. These fish ponds are close to the shoreline in the back beach and are of the loko pu'one and loko kaheka style. This figure shows in some detail the different types of fish that were typically caught in various types of loko i'a. However, we will listen here at this video to Luka Mossman, a kia'i loko or fish pond caretaker, as he explains what kinds of fish loko i'a attract and how. And finally, I will conclude this lecture by encouraging all of you to watch this episode on Hilo Loko I'a. Hear from the people of Hilo and Kilkaha about how Loko I'a function, their purpose, and how they are teaching the next generation to be mindful stewards of their home. That is all for Module 12B. Please do not forget that your quizzes are due Wednesday at 8 a.m. Good luck.